Pop art is most associated with New York artists in the early 1960s, such as Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, James Rosenquist, and Klaus Oldenburg. Those artists celebrated objects and ordinary people with a new art form which elevated popular culture. Warhol's embrace of the photomechanical silkscreen process in 1962 differentiated him from his peers by reproducing paintings through photography. Warhol's paintings from the early 1960s were very important in pioneering developments, such as soup cans, $1, 16 jackies, and the darker side of things, the electric chair. In 1964, Warhol discovered a warehouse he referred to as the Silver Factory that was located on 231 East 47th Street on the 5th floor. In that space, he had everything painted silver: the walls, floors, bricks, pipes, and the freight elevator. It became not just an artist studio, but rather a secret clubhouse or laboratory for art. In 1964, Warhol made sculptures of such items such as Campbell's soup cans, Brillo boxes, Kellogg's cornflakes, Mott's apple juice, and Heinz ketchup, as well as Del Monte vegetables, and displayed them as three-dimensional paintings. For Warhol, taking a stroll through a market was equivalent to admiring works of art in an art gallery. Pop art embraced the kitsch associated with consumerism and mocked brand loyalty and its implicit promise for happiness. Warhol was fascinated with American icons. For example, Marilyn in 1962 was created the same year Marilyn Monroe committed suicide. Much like most of Warhol's designs, the image of Marilyn is a perfect example of a media icon. In his hands, Marilyn's beauty ceases to be personal and becomes commercial, a property for sale to the public. Through millions of posters and prints marketed by Andy Warhol Enterprises, Inc., she remains a commodity on sale forever. In 1964, 16 Jackies, an acrylic enamel on canvas, was his painting in response to the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Warhol's repetitive silk-screened photographs of the news and media hype of Jackie Kennedy, the First Lady at the time, appeared to compensate for the emotional impact and the echoes of the daily invasion on the American national psyche of this event. 16 Jackies remains as a powerful reminder today as it did at that time of the demise of Americans' golden years of the 60s. Warhol displayed silver pillows in 1966 at the Castelli Gallery in Philadelphia, foil-covered plastic envelopes inflated with helium, and a display of boxes stacked like cartons of groceries was a portrayal that his art form had leapt from the walls, seemingly floating away. During the summer of 1966, the radical feminist and founder of S.C.U.M, Valerie Solanas, shot Andy Warhol at his Manhattan studio, but he survived. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison and was diagnosed as a schizophrenic. Warhol, however, was hospitalized for 2 months. However, the injuries to his lungs, esophagus, spleen, and liver were so severe that he had to wear a surgical corset for the rest of his life. In 1969, Warhol posed for photographer Richard Avedon. Avedon's photography exposed Warhol's wounds, thus revealing his torso bare and wearing his surgical corset. Warhol himself became an object, almost a still life, a public display, a showcase of the violence of the 1960s. Warhol's work is a reflection, reproduces without understanding. We are left with the image, nothing more. Warhol is art of the machine, but not, it should be made clear, a glorification, such as an attempt made by futurists. Today we continue to reflect on Warhol's images of the 1960s. Images Warhol produced and included himself, a product of the 60s and a commercial property. We continue to learn from his work, his life, and perhaps gain a deeper understanding of his reality. What made Warhol so brilliant was his attraction to everything around him. Although most artists find it difficult to be a reflection of their art, it was not so for Andy Warhol. Perhaps his simple logic and his depiction of himself through art is what makes him so brilliant. For all time, he will remain one of America's best-selling artists. Business art is the next generation that follows reflective art, Warhol said. As Warhol stated and later maintained, I started as a commercial artist. I want to finish as a business artist.